How is social media changing our brains? Well, you hear all the terrible ways in which it's changing our brains, and I think that, again, we go back to this thing, is it the aperture that we're looking at? So is it the format that we're engaging in things? Or is it the content? Well, the way I like to think about the phone is the way that we've been engaging with the phone, and the laptop for that matter, in staring into the small visual aperture each day, is sort of like walking like this all day long. Right? We have this amazing ability to shuffle our feet and take small steps, or to take big strides, to run, to move. The PTs and nutrition people, I've learned to just not say anything about that. I'm not a PT and I'm not a physical therapist, and they do incredible work, but it's a very spirited crowd. And the nutrition thing is really weird how it's just incredible. People are either throwing liver at you, or they're throwing celery at you, or they're fasting or they're not fasting. It's nuts. The social media and staring at a small visual aperture is changing our brains. Here's one way I know in which it's changing our brains, and then I'll tell you how to fix it. If you stare or look at something within 2 feet of you for a certain number of hours each day, your eyeball actually gets longer. And the visual image then is focused in front of your neural retina, not onto your neural retina, and you are becoming myopic, nearsighted. And if you look at things in the distance enough, guess what? Your eyeball changes shape and your lens will focus appropriately the image onto your retina. It takes some work. Kids that look at things up close too much and adults that look at things up close too much become nearsighted. And there's a beautiful set of clinical trials now where, mainly in kids, if kids get outside for 2 hours a day, getting a lot of this UVB and blue light that we're told is so terrible for us, but they get it from sunlight, they actually can reverse myopia or reduce the incidence of myopia, maybe even glaucoma, although that's a big maybe. So how much staring into a small visual aperture is too much? I don't know. But what we do know is that we are literally becoming myopic in terms of our vision, and we're becoming myopic in terms of our cognition. And then there's the whole business of what's actually contained in those tweets and those social media feeds and those news stories, which frankly, I feel like you lose either way. Whether or not you're in one political camp or another political camp, you're upset about half of the information out there. So I feel like it's, I'm not someone who knows how to talk about politics without stumbling. I didn't do well in social studies and this sort of thing. It just never made sense to me. It just felt like the prize goes to the person who can shout the loudest and the most coherently for a moment. So, but I encourage, of course, people to be politically active. And I vote. But the content is tricky to navigate, and I can't really speak to that, except that it seems to be bothering everybody on one side or the other or in the middle. And the format is something that we really understand. And again, I don't know of many people that are talking about this narrow visual window format thing. It came up more during the lockdowns when we were all inside a lot and not looking out at a distance. The data say to try and get at least 10 minutes of long distance viewing, so longer than 10 feet away from us, for every 30 minutes of close-up viewing, and not a lot of us are doing that. If you're walking to your car looking at your phone, you're definitely losing an opportunity.